United States Vice President J.D. Vance has delayed his planned trip to Switzerland to start a new round of peace talks with Iran. Following the signing of a memorandum of understanding to end the war, the White House has said. Vance earlier defended the agreement between Washington and Tehran amid criticism from U.S. officials and Israel, saying the signing of a mole deal a 60-day negotiating period towards a final deal.
Punjab School Education Department has decided to lift restrictions on teacher transfers during the summer vacations and open a transfer round for selected categories of educators. According to official instructions, teachers awaiting posting after promotion, those in the post-waiting category and applicants seeking mutual transfers will be eligible to participate in the transfer round after June 18.
Karachi's public transport strike will continue on Friday after negotiations between transporters and the Sindh government failed to resolve a dispute over electronic traffic challans. The Karachi Transport Alliance announced the extension of the strike following unsuccessful talks with provincial authorities. Public transport services across the city remained largely suspended on Thursday as transport operators observed a wheel jam strike, disrupting travel for thousands of commuters. New Zealand midfielder Sarpreet Singh hopes his appearance at the World Cup can pave the way for other players of South Asian heritage to reach the game's biggest stage. The 27-year-old became the first Sikh to play at a World Cup when he took the field in New Zealand's 2-2 draw with Iran in Los Angeles in their opener. Switzerland said talks between the United States and Iran on a pact to end the Middle East conflict would not take place on Friday, as US Vice President J.D. Vance dropped plans to travel to Geneva. The talks were set to take place under the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, signed between the US and Iran a day ago, after the two sides agreed on a 14-point accord on Monday. Under the deal, Washington and Tehran have agreed on a framework to end the war, reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and negotiate on key issues within 60 days.
A deadly strain of bird flu sweeping through remote islands near Antarctica has devastated the native wildlife population, killing an estimated 13,000 seal pups as well as penguins and seabirds. Researchers say drone surveys conducted by the Australian Antarctic Programme in October and January revealed sobering images of seal pup carcasses littering the greyish volcanic shores of Heard and McDonald Islands. Jarrod Hodgson, a senior research scientist at the organisation, said
Pro's gameplay loop in spycraft, combat and stealth is incredible.
Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, won a parliamentary seat on Friday, a vital step towards fulfilling his ambition to replace his party colleague Keir Starmer. About a quarter of Starmer's lawmakers have urged the Prime Minister to resign since his Labour Party last month suffered the heaviest local election losses of any governing party in more than 3 decades.
FIFA World Cup 2026 co-host Mexico became the first team to reach the knockout rounds with a 1-0 win over South Korea at a delirious Guadalajara stadium on Thursday. Luis Romo's goal just after half-time put Mexico through as Group A winners with a match to go, following a goalkeeping clanger. Labour Mayor Andy Burnham cleared a path to ousting British Prime Minister Keir Starmer after winning a parliamentary seat in Northern England on Friday in what could be the most consequential local election in more than 6 decades. Burnham, the Greater Manchester Mayor nicknamed the King of the North, won the contest in Makerfield in northwest England with 24,927 votes, while the candidate for Nigel Farage's Populist Reform UK Party came second with 15,696 votes.
United Nations Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishak Dar has urged the UN Security Council to take notice of India's brazen violations of the Indus Waters Treaty, warning that New Delhi's actions threaten Pakistan's water security, regional stability and international peace. Pakistan's permanent representative to the UN ambassador Azim Iftikhar Ahmad delivered a letter from DPM Dar to the president of the UNSC, Ambassador Leonor Zalabata Torres of Colombia, drawing attention to India's violations of the IWT. Karachi. Public transport largely remained off the city roads on Thursday as transport operators observed a citywide wheel jam strike against electronic traffic challenges, heavy fines and other regulatory measures. They also announced that the suspension of services would continue on Friday after talks with the government representatives ended without a breakthrough.
Washington. President Donald Trump has insisted that the deal he has reached with Iran is superior to the one that President Barack Obama sealed in 2015. While Trump's critics say at this point he has gotten much less and given up much more to Tehran, here is how the two agreements compare.
Karachi. The South Police on Thursday claimed to have arrested two suspected drug dealers allegedly affiliated with the network of alleged cocaine dealer Anmol Pinky. A police statement said that acting on a tip-off, the police conducted a raid in Clifton, Block 6, and apprehended two bike riders who were involved in online supply of cocaine and ice, crystal meth.
UK politician Andy Burnham could now challenge British Prime Minister Keir Starmer for the leadership of the governing Labour Party, and the country having resoundingly won the election as the Member of Parliament for Makerfield. Thursday's by-election, the equivalent of a special election in the US, was triggered with the sole purpose of providing a path to 10 Downing Street for Burnham, the mayor of Greater Manchester, who is widely seen as the Labour politician best placed to unseat the embattled Prime Minister.
Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham has cruised to victory in a high-stakes by-election in Northern England, paving the way for him to challenge Prime Minister Keir Starmer for the leadership of the Labour Party and the United Kingdom. Burnham handily defeated his closest challenger, Robert Kenyon, the candidate for the Anti-Immigration Reform UK, in the seat of Makerfield. Vote results showed early on Friday, securing the House of Commons seat he needs to mount a bid for the Prime Ministership.
Things have moved rapidly where the Iran-US Memorandum of Understanding is concerned. While the physical document was supposed to be signed in Switzerland today, the main stakeholders, including the American and Iranian presidents, have already put their signatures on the digital dotted line, with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif adding his as mediator. Now, if all goes as planned, the actual negotiations will kick off in the rarefied environs of Bürgenstock, with Washington and Tehran's representatives getting down to the more difficult task of how to implement the 14-point MOU. While no physical copy of the deal is available, the details contained in media reports, said to be read out to journalists by a US official, make for interesting reading. For all its bluster targeted at the Iranian government in the run-up to and during the war, if even half of these points are agreed to, the Trump administration would have given Tehran a better deal than the Obama-era JCPOA.
6 BN are earmarked for uplift, 90 BN for non-development expenditures, 13 BN allocated for trauma centre in Quetta Quetta. The Balochistan government has increased health sector funding and allocated 96 billion for the fiscal year 2026-27, reflecting a 30% rise compared to the current year's Rs 71 BN.
Islamabad. A parliamentary committee on Thursday continued its deliberations on the Finance Bill 2026, examining proposals related to sales tax exemptions, import regulations, income tax amendments, digital tax administration, and sector-specific concessions. A meeting of the National Assembly's Standing Committee on Finance, chaired by Naveed Kamar, took up 3 key proposals for discussion, including the expansion of sales tax on retail prices, 15-year tax exemption for Pakistan International Airlines, PA, and the removal of taxes on stationery items.
Harare, Zimbabwe. Zimbabwean lawmakers have approved a bill that would replace direct presidential elections with a vote by parliament. A proposal that supporters say would promote policy continuity, but that opponents fear could weaken democratic accountability and further entrench the ruling party's grip on power. I just cannot believe that these are the people who want to elect a president on behalf of everyone. Barnabas Gura, a 38-year-old from Harare's Glenview suburb, told Al Jazeera. Deductive AI, a startup that uses AI to catch and resolve bugs in software, has agreed to be sold to enterprise software company Elastic for up to $85 million, according to a person with knowledge of the deal. Deductive, which was founded in 2023, came out stealth last November when it announced a $7.5 million seed round led by CRV with participation from Databricks Ventures, Tomvest Ventures and PrimeSet. The investment valued the startup at $33 million, according to PitchBook.
As India cut off access to messaging app Telegram for a week over concerns about exam-related fraud, users turned to virtual private networks, VPNs, and alternative messaging apps in unusually large numbers. App intelligence firm AppFigures told TechCrunch that Tuesday, the day India announced the Telegram restriction, marked the biggest day for VPN app downloads in the country since at least the start of 2025. Downloads of major VPN apps rose 49% from a recent daily average of 139,000 to 208,000, the firm said. National CERT Pakistan has issued a high-severity cybersecurity advisory warning that attackers are actively exploiting a critical security vulnerability in a widely used corporate VPN system from Palo Alto Networks. The flaw, tracked as CVE 2026-0257, affects the global Protect VPN portal and gateway components running on Pan OS software. According to the advisory, the issue can allow attackers to bypass authentication mechanisms and gain unauthorized access to VPN sessions without requiring any user interaction.
A federal judge in the United States has ordered the release of Salah Sarsour, a Muslim leader who says his detention by immigration authorities was a form of retaliation for his outspoken support of Palestine. On Thursday, US District Judge James Patrick Hanlon ruled that Sarsour had raised a substantial claim that he was targeted for speech protected under the First Amendment of the US Constitution. That, in turn, could render his detention unlawful.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Thursday approved an extension of the federal government's austerity measures until June 30. According to an official notification issued by the Cabinet Division, the existing cost-cutting policies will continue for the extended period as part of ongoing fiscal discipline efforts.
US Vice President J.D. Vance has criticised certain members of the Israeli cabinet over their recent personal remarks targeting US President Donald Trump. He said such statements are inappropriate given the strategic relationship between the two countries. Federal police in Brazil have carried out more than a dozen raids as part of a widening corruption investigation, including one targeting a senator closely allied with President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. On Thursday, Brazilian police released a statement saying 18 search and seizure warrants were executed in the Federal District of Brasilia, as well as the states of Bahia and Sao Paulo.
Cuba's Communist Party has approved a raft of unprecedented free market measures as part of an emergency economic package. The package was submitted to the country's National Assembly on Thursday, where it is all but assured to pass. United States President Donald Trump has taken to social media to boast about the state of the economy amid a looming peace deal between the US and Iran, which yesterday signed a Memorandum of Understanding, OU. In a post on his social media platform, Truth Social,
the president claimed that oil is flowing and added that the stock markets are roaring, jobs are at records, prices are at dropping kits, and prices are bad ability.
AI inference company Basen is close to finalizing a stunning $1.5 billion funding round at a $13 billion valuation, the WSJ reports. Just 5 months ago, the startup announced that it had raised a $300 million Series E at a $5 billion valuation. And that round was just 9 months after raising a $150 million Series D. If finalized, this latest round would represent a 160% increase in valuation in less than half a year. However, the WSJ reports that this is a split-priced round, a tactic startups are using to boost their headline valuation and make lead investors look good on paper. Some investors in this latest funding round are reportedly coming in at a $13 billion valuation, while others at $11 billion, sources told the Journal. This deal is said to be co-led by Spark Capital, Sands Capital, Altimeter Capital and Wellington Management.